guys, welcome back to Teen 1D, and in this video I'm going to be going over diabetes mistakes I made as a teen with diabetes, pretty much so you don't have to go through these mistakes yourself, and so you can learn from my own mistakes. Mistake number one that I did commonly is rage bolusing. So what rage bolusing is when you kind of get really mad that your blood sugar is high and you start putting a lot of insulin as a bolus, which kind of crashes your blood sugar and gets you to be really low. Your blood sugar starts tanking really fast, which can cause dangerous lows. And rage bolusing is something that I kind of did do often. In general, I think when your blood sugar is high, bolusing is not necessarily a bad thing in general because especially the Omnipod 5, the pump I use, is very lenient and not very aggressive with the highs. And oftentimes it gives me very little amounts of insulin, even when my blood sugar is really high. And so oftentimes I have to be the one to bolus in and give me insulin. So I have to kind of give myself insulin. But sometimes what happens is my blood sugar does not drop immediately. And it takes a while to drop. So I start bolusing and put way too much insulin and start stacking insulin. And this is a rage bolus, and this causes my blood sugar to tank really fast. So to prevent what I do, I would recommend you to still bolus sometimes if your blood sugar is high and if you see that your pump isn't lowering it. But I'd be more cautious and not just impulsively bolus. And I'd make sure to, especially if it's nighttime as well, because at night rage bolusing can be more dangerous, as if you insulin stack and you rage bolus at night before going to bed, you can wake up at 2 a.m. This happens to me all the time where I rage bolus at night and then I have to wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. because my blood sugar is low. So to prevent this, I would do kind of a slighter correction, especially if my blood sugar hasn't been high for too long. I'd go lighter and then wait maybe 10-15 minutes, then bolus again, then wait 10-15 minutes and bolus again, and just do it in increments and don't just stack up insulin, too much insulin at a time, and wait maybe 15 to 20 minutes before getting more insulin, because that would give your body enough time to actually absorb the insulin and use the insulin, and so you wouldn't have to have your blood sugar crash because of stacking insulin. Second mistake that I did is kind of ignoring site irritation or leaving pods or sets on too long. So if you see a site starting to rash up, or if you're kind of sensitive to a site, or if a spot is starting a scar tissue starting to form, I recommend being extra careful. Even if it didn't hurt really, if there's any sign of inflammation, if it just that doesn't feel good, if it doesn't look good, if there's a scar tissue forming, I'd definitely try avoid using that site for a while, because especially my legs, I see that there's a little scar, and if I see that, I would not use that site for a while longer, because if you keep using a site for the same amount of time, if you keep using it, it can definitely cause scar tissue to form. Another tip that's related to this is I would definitely make sure to keep track what sites fail often, or what sites kind of don't work. For example, my legs, although they used to work decently fine, now I see that they don't really work nearly as well. So for example, in the beginning, when I was first diagnosed, when I first started using my legs, they would work pretty decently fine. They had really good insulin absorbance. They would work when I bolus, they would work within 10 to 15 minutes. But now when I use my legs, they really take a really long period of time before the insulin starts working. They will work poorly in general, and I see scar tissue, kind of not scar tissue, but I see it leaves kind of a scar for longer amounts of time compared to my other sites. And I think this is because my thighs are more sensitive to the actual needle, and maybe the skin there heals in a slower amount of time. And so over time, my insulin absorption kind of became worse in that area compared to how it was in the beginning when I was first diagnosed. And so what I would recommend everyone to do is to keep track of these type of things and to avoid using these sites after they see that there's a little bit of scar starting to be formed, or that the site is kind of starting to lose its insulin absorbance compared to other sites. So yeah, you can kind of avoid or stop using these types of sites that are not as effective, or they're kind of getting worse over time and they're not working as efficiently over time, so you can stop using them. Another tip I would do is not guess carbs, and instead try to learn the patterns. So guessing carbs sometimes is necessary. Sometimes you have to do it, and eventually when you become an expert with how things are, you can start guessing a lot of things. However, for a lot of things, I would like still recommend not guessing fully, because like for example, especially if you're eating like rice, cereal, pasta, desserts, I don't recommend really knowing how many carbs it is and even bolusing more than what it says. This would cause you to like not have like huge spikes or huge crashes, and kind of balance your blood sugar and have a much like better time and range than just guessing and getting it completely off. So even if you're fairly certain, I would double check and I would make sure to know how many carbs there is. Another mistake I've done is not pre-bolusing or pre-bolusing too late. So pre-bolusing is pretty much when you bolus like 10 to 15 minutes before a meal, so the insulin better overlaps. And this is like a really, really good thing that you can do to kind of like mitigate and completely get rid of a lot of spikes in your blood sugar. And a lot of times, like I don't do this, and I definitely think that this is a mistake. And I think everyone should pre-bolus for almost every single meal, especially if it has a lot of sugar or a lot of like it's gonna spike your blood sugar fairly fast. Pre-bolusing will definitely help mitigate that impact. So the only way I would not recommend pre-bolusing, and maybe even doing an extended bolus, is if the food has a lot of fats and if it slowly will increase your blood sugar, then you don't have to do it. But if it's something that's going to increase your blood sugar fairly fast, I would definitely recommend waiting 10 to 30 minutes depending on how fast it will increase your blood sugar. Another mistake I've done is treating lows with way too much insulin, like with way too much carbs. I mean, like sometimes like this is like kind of the opposite of rage bolusing. It's kind of like rage eating. This is when like, or like panic eating, I guess, when your blood sugar is like really low, so you kind of like eat too much. For example, I would recommend like eating like only 4 to 8 carbs. Don't eat like 15 carbs like the nurse says. I know it's like, it's not medical advice, but like I feel like when I would eat an entire juice box, which is like 15 carbs, it was my blood sugar way too high, like 250, 200s. Not good, definitely. I would definitely eat like 4 to 8 carbs and then wait for like 10 minutes. And then if it still hasn't gone up, if it's on like 80, 70, then it's fine. But if it still hasn't gone up, then I would just eat more, like 48 carbs more. This is because like I feel like what they say of like eating 15 carbs and then waiting is way too much, and 50 carbs just gets you way higher. So I think eating a little bit less, if it's not like super tanking, and if it's not like I don't know, 50 or below, if it's not like really, really low, or going really, really fast, like downwards, I would recommend just taking 4 to 8 carbs and waiting 10 minutes instead of just taking like a lot of carbs. And yeah. Another mistake I've done is not carrying my diabetes supplies, like neglecting to carry it, not wanting to carry it. I definitely recommend carrying like glucose tablets for sure everywhere, the Baqsimi or like some sort of like one of those Narcan things everywhere, and then a backup pod or pen as well if you're going for somewhere for like over like 3 or 4 hours. This is because like if you're going somewhere for over 3 or 4 hours, like there's a good chance your pod could fail. There's a good chance like you might need your pen, or there's a good chance in general that you're going to need another source of insulin if something happens. So even though it might not happen, they probably won't happen, like your pod's probably not going to fail, right? But if it does, in that 3-4 hours span, your blood sugar will start increasing like very rapidly, and very like it will increase to a lot. So having a pen would definitely like help you lower your blood sugar and prevent those like extreme highs happening. And I've definitely had a lot of times where I forgot to bring a pen or I didn't bring a pen, and then over a couple of hours without a pen, my blood sugar went up a lot. So definitely remembering to have a pen would have saved me from those situations. Another thing is kind of ignoring your stress, being sick, or like other sleep, like factors like sleep as like blood sugar. I recommend like when you're stressed or when you're sick to increase your like amount of insulin you have. So like your ratios, maybe like your carb ratios, bolus ratios, your basal and stuff, and to kind of give yourself more insulin during these time periods, as your body is less insulin, more insulin resistant during these time periods. And yeah, those were all the tips that I've have since having diabetes, and the mistakes I've done, and kind of like the things that you can do to avoid them. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment any things you want me to go over next. And thank you for watching Team 1D.